Welcome to the Movie Guide Podcast. I'm Greg,
And I'm Jordan.
and today we're going to review In the Heart of the Sea, directed by Ron Howard, starring Thor, aka Chris Hemsworth. Hemsworth? Say that for me.
Hemsworth.
Thank you. Cillian Murphy and Tom Holland.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, new guy.
Peter Parker.
Are you tired of Spider-Man yet?
I've been tired of Spider-Man for a while because I don't really like any of the Spider-Man movies.
Is there any Spider-Man at all that you like?
I like
Anything at all?
the very first one. All right, the one with the first Tobey Maguire one.
It was my first experience with Tobey Maguire, and I'm not sure if I like him. He's still kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't like him very much. They keep picking the wrong guy to play Spider-Man. I think I haven't liked any of the Spider-Mans.
I loved Andrew Garfield. It was great. Didn't like the second movie as much.
Oh, it's terrible. I'd rather watch Spider-Man 3 than The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
With emo, what's his face?
Yeah. But that's not what we're
So, what'd you think?
I didn't like it.
I loved it.
I know. Well, you said that before we came on, but I wouldn't say I hated it. I wouldn't say that I liked it. It's kind of just average for me, kind of forgettable.
Give me a couple good things and a couple bad things.
A couple good things. The first, I'd say, third to a half of the movie, I liked when they first got out there and they were doing all this sailing stuff and you got to see how the ship worked because I'm really into sailing, like that kind of thing. So that was cool to watch. I liked that first whaling scene where you kind of see how that happens because I've never seen anything. I don't have any experience with that. That's not in any movie that I know. So.
There's half of it you're like, I don't even know how they did it.
Yeah, so I mean that was cool to watch. All the scenes with the big whale, I guess Moby Dick is what it ends up being, but those were really cool. But my problem with that was they were all in the trailer. Like pretty much everything that you saw him do was in the trailer.
For the first attack, not the later attacks. Spoiler alert.
Let's not spoil things, Pops.
Well, I mean, it's a movie about a whale attacking a ship.
Yeah.
The whale comes back. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's a secret.
But yeah, so I wanted more of that because it's about 5 minutes of the film total as the actual whale attack. Then the second half it falls apart for me. I was bored out of my mind.
Okay.
Not quite getting to the point where I wanted to walk out of the theater bored because I've been to that point before and it wasn't quite there, but I wasn't enjoying it very much. I think that I just don't like that kind of movie, how it turns into kind of like a shipwreck kind of movie. Because, I mean, I don't like Life of Pi very much. That's
I
the
love
same
Life
thing.
of Pi.
I don't like...
We're seeing a theme here.
Unbroken last year was a movie that had a lot of...
a lot of survival stuff.
It had a lot of stuff
But
in
you
it.
liked Castaway.
I liked Castaway a lot, and I think that's mostly Tom Hanks' performance, and he made it enjoyable to watch him in the film, whether it was interactions with the volleyball with Wilson, or, you know, there was some character development, which we'll get to later with this film, earlier in the movie that made you kind of relate to him a little bit and feel his struggle. You know, showed him doing all this stuff, you know, trying to make a fire, you know, all these things that you can relate to that, you know, if we were stuck in the wild, we probably wouldn't be able to do, and we'd be in his same boat. So that's why I enjoyed Castaway so much. It's not a movie that I revisit very often. I've probably watched it, you know,
Every time you do, you're excited to see it.
every time I do enjoy watching it. But I couldn't do it like once a month. It's not something I could watch that often. But yeah, so those were the main things I liked about the film. There's one scene I won't spoil, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. That's quite graphic and a little gross.
I loved that.
Oh, I liked it, but I was just like, this is intense.
So, but the reason I love that, this is frustrating. I want to talk about it, but the reason why I love that is it's real. It's how things are really done. So I read my background to the story at all, and the reason I was even excited about it in one of my college classes, our big book we read was Moby Dick.
I've never read it.
And in preparation for that, my teacher was all like, here, go read all this stuff about the story that inspired that, The Wreck of the Essex. And so I went and read all the Wikipedia stuff that was on there. Admittedly, not a huge, delve into the research. But but I read the Wikipedia article, and it just got me so pumped for the rest of the story. Anyway, so when I learned how, as we read through Moby Dick, and we talked about like the American sailors and all this sort of stuff, whalers as well, like you learn how they actually cut up a whale and how they have to the whale's huge. You can't just pull it into your boat. And I didn't realize their boat was so small compared to what I thought a boat would be.
A cool scene in that.
You had to cut it up on the side of the boat.
And the cool scene in the movie, this isn't really a spoiler, but there's sharks taking bites out of the whale.
The shark while they're cutting into it. Like that's that's the realities of that job. It's like harvesting wheat and I don't know, crows are coming at it. I loved it. It was great. So that's why one of the reasons why I was so excited. And perhaps my interest in the movie is buoyed up by the fact that it was fun to see on screen.
Right.
The story
you
that I
had
knew
some
about.
previous knowledge about it. I didn't go and I've never read Moby Dick. I would like to at some point. Maybe that's a book that I would actually like to read because I'm not a huge reader. But there is something I come across, like something like that, and like Old Man and the Sea, kind of these old epic kind of books that you hear about that I'd like to read at some point. Maybe when I'm older and have nothing better to do. But yeah, I didn't have any background on this story really, other than the trailers. This movie was supposed to come out last March.
Yeah, you know more about the hang-ups, don't you?
Yeah.
Tell us what happened.
Well, it wasn't that there were any hang-ups, but it was supposed to come out last March. They moved it to December. Usually, when a movie does that, it's because they're thinking Oscar. They're putting it right in the award season. So when I saw that and I saw these trailers, I'm expecting that kind of movie, and it just didn't get there for me.
Is there a movie that you would compare it to, other than Castaway? Something that you liked? I'm trying to help myself see the differences between because to me Castaway is so similar to, at least in theme.
The difference is I cared about Tom Hanks' character. I don't care about any of these characters.
So here's one suggestion or one idea I have to offer you is that because you focused only on Tom Hanks for such a large portion of the movie, it allowed you to get a handle on his character.
It's possible.
More quickly and more deeply, where there's like 36 people you have to care about in this movie.
Yeah, my problem is they don't develop any of them with the exception of Chris Hemsworth's character because you have some stuff at the beginning with him.
I totally disagree.
And his wife, and you get how it's all politics, how he doesn't get his own ship, and all this stuff at the beginning that develops his character. Nobody else is developed. The captain gets thrown on there. You don't know anything about him other than his family owns or is big into the whaling, and you don't know anything about Cillian Murphy other than the fact that he used to drink, and you don't know anything else about any of the other characters.
Yeah, and you didn't find that as sort of interesting, like you remember because they make a point of like, oh, they're criminals, they're whatever, they're just this rabble that they've gathered together.
Yeah, develop that. You can say that, but then have some conversations going on with people. Be like, why are you here? You know, stuff like that. That gives you a reason to care about why these people are dying. Because I mean, that's not even a spoiler because obviously people are going to die. But you get these random scenes of somebody falling off the ship and dying, and you're like, I don't even know that guy's name.
I will agree. They did that a couple times where I was like, are we just checking a box, one more guy down?
Yeah.
Or was that someone I cared about? There's a couple people where you're like, I feel like I should know who that is, but I don't. And maybe that would be borne out in multiple viewings, but I think you would agree your movie kind of stands or fails on its first viewing.
Yeah, most of the time.
At least when we talk about going to see a movie at the movie theater.
Yeah.
If it becomes like a cult classic, something you want to watch over and over and over again, that's a different story. But I liked that we didn't know everything about them because then it provided us this like starting point. Like they get to know each other on the boat. A lot of them don't know each other. Some of them have known each other a long time.
But that's the problem. That's what I'm saying.
And we're also watching the whole story from the point of view of a young boy, one of the cabin boys, basically.
Problem I have there is the whole idea of this story is that it's told. It's basically like a flashback. As the guy is talking to Herman Melville, I guess.
Yeah. So
the writer of Moby Dick.
The boy survives and is retelling his tale to Melville.
But you get a lot of things in this movie that he would have no way of knowing. He wasn't there.
You see cutaways.
So my thing is, you have to choose how you want to tell the story. If you want to choose to tell it that way, then you have to tell it that way. And there's scenes in like the captain's cabin and all this. He's not there.
Okay.
The scenes with Chris Hemsworth at the beginning of the movie with his wife. He wasn't there. He doesn't know any of this stuff. So you have to kind of choose which way you're going to tell the story. Also, that on that same point about it being told like this, I would have rather it have been a bookend kind of thing. He dives into the story at the beginning and then they come back at the end. Instead, you get these parts in the middle where they go back to that conversation and it ruins the pace for me a little bit. It's like we're here and then we're there and then it's like, oh, we're going back here. I'm trying to remember what exactly was happening. I don't
Sometimes
like
it works as a narration, like where if you dive in and out very smoothly, where something's going on and you have a narrator's voice come up and they cut back while he's continuing to tell the story. And then you have a couple of cut scenes back and forth to different people's faces, and then you move back into your story. That's okay. Sometimes they take large deviations
Yeah,
to have something
that's
happen
my problem
in
with
the
it is
quote unquote present.
the large deviations kind of it was this weird mix of pace that I didn't like very much.
Okay, so I hadn't considered the pace, believe it or not, because it didn't bother me while I was watching the movie. Now that you say that, though, it's much more noticeable. The second thing that you said is I'm shocked at myself for not realizing this. The fact that the story is more or less being told from the point of view of one person, and yet you have all this information that he wasn't present for.
It would have been more believable if he was talking to Chris Hemsworth's older character. If he was talking to the first
right.
movie. So if that was that older guy, it would have made more sense because the whole time you are focusing on him, which was weird to me. Because
you almost think that he's the younger or he's the older version of that character,
right?
Until you realize
because the movie focuses on him
that it's not.
rather than the boy. I mean, it does focus on the boy on occasion, but really your main focus, probably because Chris Hemsworth was such a star, is you're focusing on him.
Which, by the way, top notch.
Oh yeah, he was great.
He's fantastic.
He was great.
Like
Him and Cillian Murphy were great. Enjoyed both.
Award winning, in my opinion. Any other key thoughts you had? Because the thing I loved so much about this
talk
story,
about why you like it a little bit.
It's easy. Look at the easy stuff out of the way first. Beautifully animated.
Oh yeah, the CGI on the whales and everything is
fantastic. Great. There's not. I don't think there's anything in there that felt unbelievable. Like, there's a few scenes where people are...
I mean, once you suspend your disbelief that the fact that it's like a vengeant killer whale kind of thing, once you suspend that a little bit, then, yeah.
That happened, by the way. That's a true story.
Well, yeah, but...
It attacked the boat. Yeah.
But maybe not to the extent that the...
So, in the movie, he comes back more than once. In the as I understand it, in the original story... I mean, there's obviously movie magic, suspense, and so forth. In the original story, he actually just... The whale... hits the boat a few times and damages the boat and it begins to sink. And the whale...
The
spooky part of that story, though, is while they're whaling, it's just sitting there. It doesn't move. It basically, I mean, as close as a whale can watch you, it's just watching them. And then later chooses to attack the boat. And it sounds super crazy. But I loved the animation, loved the boat scenes, everything that was showing you how to sail a ship. There's a couple times in there where they start mentioning stuff about the boat that you don't yourself understand. And then, like, they reveal, oh, it's this sail, this other thing. Yeah. They're talking about, like, oh, okay. Like, I liked that they didn't spoon feed me.
Right.
You know, all these as-you-know moments. It was just, you're there. And you kind of get Chris Hemsworth being, no, we shouldn't do that. And that's an opportunity to explain to you what they're doing. That's fine. I love the storytelling. I just love the storytelling. I don't have a nice in-depth... review.
It's fine to just enjoy the movie.
I just had a good time, and I just love the storytelling. I think that's the best.
I just got bored. I mean, I enjoyed the first part of the movie when they were doing all that stuff.
Was it too slow then?
After the whale attack, I just felt like nothing really happened.
All the drama on the boats once they're just stuck on these little boats in the middle of the ocean. None of that was exciting.
And I think part of that is the character development. It's like Chris Hemsworth is arguing with this guy, but I don't know who this guy is. I don't even know his name. Like. It just doesn't have any tension to me because
I want to see more stuff, but it's going to get spoilery, so I think I'll pass on it. But overall, I'd give it a 5 out of 5 solid. How about yourself?
I can't get it to my 3 threshold.
Is this the biggest difference we've ever had?
It's probably pretty close. Yeah, I'm going 2.75 out of 5. Can't get it to a 3. Disappointed by it to say the least, especially considering the trailers and considering into Oscar
Would
season.
you not recommend people see it?
Don't go to the theater to see it. I'd say
go to the theater and see it in 3D.
I'd say see Creed instead if you're going to spend money, or if you want to watch a movie like this, watch Castaway, watch Master and Commander, watch the first Pirates movie. If you want to see 17th century kind of ships, go watch something like that. Or just save your money and see Star Wars 8 times next weekend like the rest of us.
I second that. All right.
Well, so I think that's all we got for this week. Next week we should have a Star Wars review up at some point. We're hoping, assuming that works out.
4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, the main podcast will be the 4, 5, and 6, and the review will be episode 7 after we see it, hopefully. So that's all we got for this week. We'll talk to you next week. I'm Jordan.
I'm good.